Hello friends, so today I'm going to talk to you about writing the formula for ionic compounds. My name is Dr. Luciano Kweseli and I'm going to serve as your guide today in this interesting lecture and conversation, okay? So when we talk of ionic compounds, we are talking about those compounds that are made from ionic or electrovalent bonding, okay? Remember, the ionic compounds contain positive ions, or what we call cations, and negative ions, what we know as anions, which are held in place by strong electrostatic attraction, known as ionic bond. Okay? But for today, for this lecture, we're going to focus on the writing of the formula or chemical formula of some of these compounds. Okay? So in the chemical formula, of course, we must ensure that the sum of the charges of the cation, okay, must equal the sum of the charges of the anions. It's very, very key. This is important because ionic compounds are neutral compounds. So the both charges, the cations, and the anions must cancel each other out for us to have that neutral compound known as ionic compound. Nice. So another important thing we need to know here is that in order for us to properly write the formula of ionic compounds, we must follow certain laid down procedure for us to write it effectively. In order for us to eschew any kind of complexity or confusion, it is always advisable that students adhere to this rule if they must learn how to write the chemical formula of ionic compounds. And the first rule of thumb is that in writing the formula of ionic compound, you must first of all, of course, write the symbol for the metal. All right? You write the symbol for the metal and its charge, okay? Followed by the symbol of the non-metal and its charge. And this is because ionic compounds comprise of two components, the metallic component and the non-metallic component. Of course, the metallic component changes into a positive ion, the non-metallic component changes into what? A negative ion. So here you have the metallic component with a plus charge, you have the non-metallic component with a minus charge, okay? So the first rule is that you must write the symbol of the metal and of course its charge, then write the symbol of the non-metal and of course its negative charge. When you have done that, you go to the second step, which is very critical, which is something that I mentioned in my last video, which is the magnitude of the charges. This is where the magnitude of charges like I said in the last video, it didn't just tell us about how strong ionic bonds are, because the magnitude of charge I said in the last video is that the more the magnitude of the charge, of course, the stronger the attractive force. So that's the magnitude of charges helped us in the last video to appreciate the strength of different ionic bonds. But in this case, in the second rule, you have to now make the magnitude of charge, that is the number in front of the charge, okay? Is it +1 or is it +2? That 1 is the magnitude of that first charge, while 2 is the magnitude of the second charge. So now make the magnitude of the charge, okay, on each ion become the subscript for the other ion using what we call the crisscross method. I always advise my students to use the crisscross method. And doing the second procedure is that you should make the magnitude of the charge on the both ions, okay, become the subscript of the other ion. We are going to do that. And the method we always prescribe is called the crisscross method. We will get to that, okay? After you have done that, as much as possible, try to reduce the subscripts, okay, to give a ratio with the smallest whole numbers. We're going to typify and exemplify this as we make progress, okay? So after you must have done this, of course, you must have written the formula of ionic compound to be sure that what you have written is correct. We always advise students, maybe in your rough sheet, check that the sum of the charges of both cations and anions cancels out each other. This is because This is predicated on the premise that ionic compounds must be neutrally charged. So whatever it is that the cation charge is must cancel out whatever it is that the anionic charge is too. This is very critical. And the first example they gave us here, they said write the formulae of the ionic compounds, okay? Of the ionic, this is ionic please, of the ionic compounds that forms from the following pairs. We have three pairs here, okay? We have aluminium and oxygen, we have magnesium and oxygen, we have potassium and oxygen. So they say we should write the formulae. Formula, of course, is plural form of formula because we are dealing with three different things. So solution. For the first one, we are going to follow the principle. It says write the symbol for the metal and its charge. Of course, aluminium always have the oxidation state of 3+, okay? Always want to ionize by giving or losing 3 electrons. So that's the first thing. Then you write, of course, the symbol of the non-metal and, of course, its charge. Oxygen will always want to gain 2 electrons for it to ionize. When you have done that, next thing you are going to do, the magnitude of the charge here is 3, okay? And the magnitude of charge here is 2. So you bring down that 3 because we are using the crisscross method, and of course you bring down the 2, okay? Then you use the crisscross pattern, all right, to exchange their what? Their magnitudes. And once you exchange their magnitude, what we are going to make now is that you're going to use those magnitudes you've exchanged to become what we call the subscripts, numbers that determine atomicity. Atomicity is the number of atoms present in the atoms of a given element in a molecule, okay, or compound. So what we're trying to say is that you exchange their magnitude. The magnitude here of the charge here is 3, you bring it down. The magnitude of charge here is 2, you bring it down. Then you exchange this magnitude, and if you're exchanging it, it now becomes what we call the subscript, which is the number that talks about atomicity. So Al now has a small value here known as the subscript, okay? Let me write it properly. So here you have, okay, here you have Al2, all right? Then oxygen now takes the other 3. So when they exchange their magnitude, it's coming in form of what? Subscripts now, which is talking about the atomicity. The atomicity of aluminium here is what? 2, and the atomicity of oxygen here is 3. All right? So that is what you have, Al2O3. We are coming to the naming. For now, we are trying to, of course, write the formula, chemical formula of this ionic compound, and we are done with the first one. Okay? Remember, it is important that you check to make sure that the charges cancels out. Okay? So if you look at it, 2 will go into 3+. Okay? So the magnitude here that went into aluminium is 2. So we have 2 brackets. What is the charge? 3+. It will give us what? 6+. Nice. Then 3 into 2 minus 3 into 2 minus will also give us 6 minus. Plus 6 minus 6 is equal to 0. You see it? So this is a neutral compound or substance, okay? That is what it should be. So the next one, of course, is between what? Magnesium. We'll always want to give out 2 electrons, Mg2 plus, and this is 2, oxygen is 2 minus, okay? Oxygen will always be 2 minus because it will want to gain 2 electrons. You follow the same pattern, okay? The magnitude here is 2, the magnitude here is 2. So you bring down this magnitude 2, bring down this magnitude 2. Use the crisscross pattern, okay? As we said, the crisscross pattern will help us to do that. And when we do it, ultimately you see that Mg is 2 and O is equally 2. But we cannot leave this like this. Unlike this, we couldn't have reduced it to give a whole number ratio, okay? It's not possible here. But you can see that we can reduce it because 2 can cancel out 2, all right? Or 2 divided 2 is equal to 1. So when we reduce this, see that these 2 we cancel these 2, and we have now what? MgO, okay? So this is the formula, the chemical formula of this particular ionic compound, MgO. Okay, beautiful. Then to check again, it is important we always check. All right, so if you check, you see that these two will go into the magnitude, and the charge will give us what? 4 plus, and of course these two will go into 2 minus, will give us 4 minus. Both of these is equal to give me 0. Nice. Then the third one, which is the last one, is what? Between potassium, all right, and what? Oxygen. Potassium is an alkali metal. We'll always want to ionize by giving out 1 electron. Oxygen, again, will always want to gain 2 electrons. So this is beautiful. So what is the oxidation state here? Is +1. I hope you know. So what is the magnitude here? The magnitude is 1. What is the magnitude here? The magnitude is 2. You use the crisscross pattern, okay, and exchange them while you change those magnitude into subscripts. So when you do that, you see that what comes here is now K2, okay, and what goes here is what? O, because anything times 1 is 1. 1 goes into oxygen. This is what you have. So these are the chemical formula or formulae of these 3 ionic compounds. When aluminium reacts with oxygen, it makes Al2O3. When magnesium reacts with oxygen, it makes MgO, because we have reduced their ratios, okay, to the smallest whole numbers. And of course, potassium will react with oxygen to make K2O as the chemical formula. In the next lecture video, I'm going to go deep into naming of the different types of ionic compounds. Of course, these are simple kind of ionic compounds, but we even have some polyatomic compounds that are complex, and their names are special, especially when you begin to introduce some special class of metals called transition metals that have variable oxidation states. So some students, even at the advanced level, still struggle with learning how to name some of those complex organic ionic compounds. But part of what we're going to do is that before the end of this series, before we go into the energetics of ionic bonding, we're expecting that our students will all know how to name both simple and complex ionic compounds. And as well, we will also make room for our students to also appreciate the different wonderful properties of ionic compounds. Okay? I believe you got it. If you got value in what you just watched, I implore you to share my video, like it, comment, and of course invite your friends to be part of what we are doing in Chem class with Dr. Luther. Until the next time, stay safe, stay away from trouble, keep getting better, keep learning, enjoying, and becoming best in chemistry and every aspect of your life. Until the next time, I remain your humble friend, Dr. Luther Nokwesili. Bye.